74 of Sevens and Cycles. On 8 August 2022, Keith sealed our future by signing the offer to purchase the farm we had affectionately named Forever Free in Tulbagh. This name, our private pledge, now became a reality. We were progressing from being free at last to being forever free. Our hearts beat with anticipation as another milestone approached. On 1 November, Free at Last Farm was sold, contingent upon the buyer's farm selling by 15 December. Remarkably, after 4 months on the market, Keith received just one signed offer, despite multiple viewings and serious interest. This single offer presented our only opportunity to leave the Klein Karoo. The transfer seemed daunting due to the linked transactions. It was an intricate, interconnected process. Our successful sale depended solely on the successful registration of our buyer's farm. Inspired by Tulbagh's rainbow miracle, we began packing the farm. Our faith propelled us forward, despite the daunting task. We approached each day with purpose, systematically sorting possessions. Some were sold, others stored, and the rest donated. As we navigated the farm sale, unexpected delays, twists and turns arose. Our agent friend remained guarded, struggling to envision a successful outcome. By this time, we had already reached an agreement with our buyer. She could move in on 3 January 2023 and occupy the property rent-free without paying occupational interest, on the condition that we could store our furniture in the large double barn. On 2 January, we would temporarily settle into Keith's picturesque, fully furnished Muizenberg flat, accompanied by just our summer essentials. As we awaited the sales registration and Forever Free's transfer, I could enjoy watching Keith kitesurf from our cozy, velvety red couch. Once we were ready to relocate to Tulbagh, we would meet our removal company at the farm. We had previously arranged with the same reliable one-man company that had efficiently moved my belongings from Oudtshoorn to the Strand and then from the Strand to Free at Last Farm. We were amazed that he would be moving our belongings for the 3rd time. Keith and I made a brief November trip to Cape Town, with our buyer's bank guarantee deadline fast approaching. While renewing licenses in charming Fischhoek, Keith received a worrying message from our agent, advising caution as the deal's success hung in the balance. To say we were shocked by the news is a gross understatement. Stunned, we fled the vehicle licensing department and headed to Muizenberg's gym, desperate for stress relief. I prayed fervently, refusing to give up on the miraculous revelation of the rainbow over the farm. While driving, Keith knows I decipher registration plate numbers for synchronistic messages with hidden meaning. This day was no exception. We had barely left the parking area when I spotted my number. An oncoming vehicle with a registration number containing the sequence 777. A familiar sacred messenger from divinity, igniting my inner knowing. I marveled at the synchronistic timing. Then another vehicle approached, its registration plate also featuring the distinctive 777 sequence. Within a kilometre or two, yet another appeared. What? I couldn't believe it. Before I could catch my breath, a fourth car emerged with the same 777 sequence in its registration number. By now, Keith was fully engaged, scanning surrounding traffic for serendipitous numbers. Then, not only a fifth, but also a sixth car displayed the sacred 777 sequence just before we entered the gym's underground parking area. Exhilaration enveloped us as we worked out, our spirits soaring on the wings of wonder. Witnessing 6 vehicles with the sacred 777 sequence cross our path in rapid succession, especially after receiving disheartening news, defied explanation. It was nothing short of breathtaking providence, a divine convergence of synchronicities. Divinity reinforced its message. Leaving the gym, within 2 kilometers, we encountered the 7th vehicle displaying 777. After that, no amount of stressful calls from our agent and transferring attorney could ever shake our confidence in the successful outcome of our farm sale. No matter what reality painted, we had an unshakable, unwavering, and unadulterated faith that we would move to Tulbagh in the new year. As a reward for our faith and courage, even before November's end, the guarantees were delivered and our farm's registration process began. Although the new year brought unexpected delays with our buyer's farm sale, we took them in stride and kept our spirits high. The scent of change wafted through my life like the aroma of freshly baked bread, warm, inviting, yet tinged with the uncertainty of what lay ahead. As our farm sale simmered, the phone rang, bearing news that would fill my heart with the complexity of human emotion. Amidst these exciting events, another significant and meaningful occurrence took place. Henny's health took a turn for the worse, and Esther Marie rushed to South Africa in early December to be by his side. After spending precious time in Oudtshoorn, visiting him daily, she bid him a heart-wrenching farewell on 9 December as she needed to return to Europe for work. The next morning, she called me in tears to deliver the devastating news. Henny had passed away moments earlier. As I shared Esther Marie's grief, tears welled up, my heart heavy with sadness. Treasured memories of Esther Marie and our past connection resurfaced, and I felt honored she called me first amidst her pain. However, Henny's passing slammed shut the book on our turbulent past, its painful chapters finally closed. Still, I acknowledged the humanity in his passing, even as I continued to heal from the scars of our relationship. In this poignant moment, my past differences with Esther Marie faded, and only shared sorrow and love remained. My heart yearned for reconciliation, exposed to life's delicate balance. Grief and hope wrestled, testing my faith and resilience. Keith and I briefly met Esther Marie in Oudtshoorn during her visit. I remained hopeful, especially after the 777 miracles, that divinity would bring a miracle to our relationship. Our conversation, though polite, remained superficial. Restoration seemed elusive. Still, I clung to hope defying odds, believing our bond could mend. Another intriguing development emerged. Imagine Tulbagh, only 25 kilometers from Gurik's Riebeek West home. The what-ifs began swirling. "No, Mom," Esther Marie said. "He still doesn't want to meet with you." In the crucible of loss and detachment, I reclaimed my life's delicate thread. Yet I realized that boundaries, self-approval, and grace were not singular conquests, but sacred cycles, ebbs and flows that would continue to unfold. Like petals unfolding, my boundaries would bloom and wither, requiring constant nurturing. As I navigated self-discovery, self-approval's warmth would flicker, testing my resolve. Moments of divine guidance, which I call grace, would ignite, beckoning me deeper into self-awareness. I recognized the beauty in my struggles, integral to my journey. Scarred cycles, perhaps, yet sacred in their recurrence. In each recurrence, I refined my heart, embracing gratitude and grace. As I continue to explore, I surrender to the beauty of this ongoing dance. In embracing the scars, I find the sacred.